Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, Kevin Dowdark on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Devin, Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
And we are back after a week of not doing a show. Sorry everyone, there was a bunch of Nova Open things going on, so we did not have a chance to do stuff for the show. But we are back, and lucky for us, the WTC list just recently dropped. So we're going to talk a little bit about WTC today. What we're seeing there, what type of caches are popular, the different factions, kind of delve a little bit into everything that's going on with the WTC. So
I guess the biggest thing we're not going to do is we're not going to read verbatim everything that's going on, just kind of touch on the things that we thought were interesting about the information. And of course, this comes with a heavy, heavy dosage of warning of this is a meta, this is a format that is team-driven, where you get to, for better lack of terms, teams get to pick their pairs. So what may be awesome in WTC may not be awesome in your local meta.
Very true.
It does have the ability, though, to show us a lot of maybe where the over meta is swinging. So, you know, just like we saw with, what was that event that just happened a little bit ago? In, I want to say Denmark, where we saw a lot of Doomy 2 being played because he fit well into the team statistics. Like, you'll see a lot of casters that may not be played on a very super competitive format, but then once again you can see other stuff where, you know, you're not so surprised.
Yeah, I definitely think that these WTC lists definitely, they start the conversation. I think that's the best way to put it. They start the conversation around the casters, around the builds. You can pull out, when you look at the list, you can kind of pull out little nuggets of like, oh, I didn't think about using, you know, Kodiaks with smoke clouds and using the reposition to pull the Kodiaks out of the smoke clouds to create a Kador smoke wall, stuff like that. That you can pull from these. But it happened, you know, the first time WTC came out with all the lists and everything. Everybody's like, oh, well, these are the meta-defining lists, and that's a horrible assumption to make, because you can put down a anti-Crix list on your thing that's purely focused to just taking out Crix. Not that necessarily do that anymore, but it was just focused on taking Crix, and it was horrible in every other matchup, but that's because they knew they had the ability of placing it in the right spot to leverage its abilities. And that doesn't work in a meta where you're on a two-list pairing and you potentially get dropped into something that's not Crix with your anti-Crix or your pure Crix list.
all right, so why don't we just get started? Kevin or Devin? I like that, Kevin and Devin. When you guys want to kind of lead this ship, start pointing us in the right direction?
I just want to point out that you just realized after, 10 episodes, that our names rhyme?
I know,
Well,
I just did.
He's a little slow. Give him a chance.
I did grow up on the short bus, so my mom drove it. No, my mom.
Honestly,
All right.
why don't you kick this off, Tony, with your absolute favorite faction?
Because I don't have anything in front of me.
Oh, well, let's play a little fun little game. Who do you think is the caster that is being dropped the most at the WTC for Signar?
Oh, for Signar? So my initial thought, I really have to think it's probably going to be Haley 2. And the reason is because Haley 2 went through a lot of changes, but she's still a very strong caster.
She's still backbreaking as hell.
Yeah, she's not talked about nearly as much as Kara Sloan, but I feel like it's probably going to be Haley 2 and Kara Sloan right behind her.
So if Haley 2's at 20 lists, is in 20 lists right now, how many lists do you think Kara Sloan made?
20?
You're wrong. It didn't even break double digits. She's only in 7 lists.
Really?
Yeah, which actually kind of surprised me, because I figured in a meta where you actually got to pick your pairings, Kara Sloan getting dropped into the pairing that she wants to play in, I mean, shores up any weakness she has, and I dare say puts her into a strong win position right from the start.
I think that's true. I think the only thing I could think of is the why she's probably not in a lot of WTC lists is because I feel like WTC probably focuses really heavy on a lot of terrain stuff. So you have a lot of terrain pieces that are out there. So that does cripple her a little bit. And the other thing is that, Signar is the new Crix. So there's going to be a lot of anti-Kara Sloan tech out there. And I'm wondering if everyone is working on, I haven't seen a lot of lists. I think the only lists that are posted up right now are the Australia lists. So I feel like a lot of people are going to have that anti-Kara Sloan shooting just built in. It's not a hard stop, but it's something that could hurt it.
Yeah, I mean, so Haley 2's got 20 of the lists, and Kane 2 has 12 of the list. There's a lot of onesie-twosies here or there. I think the only casters in Signar that did not make the cut, they didn't show up in a single list anywhere, was Constant Blaze, Cray, Nemo 2, and Sturgis, which none of those four I'm super, surprised they didn't make the cut, even though they were considered bad in Mark II. I still don't see any strength in Mark III for them. So I wasn't necessarily surprised that they didn't come up. The Kane 2 was a little surprising to me. I didn't think, but maybe that's just another scenario of we can drop Kane 2 into the matchups he wants to see.
Dude, Kane 2 is such a good caster. Honestly, I'm surprised he's not talked about more. Kane 2 is he is a ball-busting caster, and he is the reason that makes me want to go back to Signar every time. Where I'm really trying hard to push forward and keep playing Convergence. But man, just every time I see Kane 2 and just look at the stuff he can do, I get so excited. He is to me he is Signar.
His feat ends up, it's similar to it was in Mark 1, right? Every time he shoots, it goes up by 1.
Yep.
So in a meta or in a scenario where you're spending focus to reduce damage by 5, aren't you, if you stock up on your focus till the end, neutering the tail end of the strength of that feat?
No, because you can only spend the focus once, so you can only do the 5 damage one time. I can't spend 2 focus to ignore 10 damage in a turn.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if he shoots at 10, he gets 7 shots now because he doesn't get, or he gets Reinhold and that's it.
He'll get Reinhold. He'll get his 6 focus worth of shots. So that's at 7 shots, and he gets 2 more because of his 2 initials. So he gets 9 shots
and
instead of 10.
He starts at POW 10.
He starts at POW 12.
He starts at POW 12. So if you let it, if you're sitting on 4 focus and you let it ride where it goes from 12 to 13, so 13, 14, 15, 16, and then when you get up to 17, 18, 19, and 17, 18, 19, you spend your focus to reduce the 5 points. It's almost like you're halting his feat progression on those last 3 shots.
Almost, except for the fact that if I'm getting up to 17, 18, 19, most casters don't, I'm already doing dice plus 1 damage on them, so that's fine. If they're going to spend it, I'm still doing dice minus 4, dice minus 3, dice minus 2. That's not...
I definitely could see that.
And even more so with him, I don't even think about the assassination on the caster as much as just the fact that he can trick shot. So all of his shots, I can choose one of 3 shots. I can either trick shot, where I hit another model within 4 inches, I can Black Penny, or I can Grievous Wound somebody. So he can walk in there, he can clear out any type of tough models that are in the way to clear up any type of charge lanes for Storm Lances or the Storm Wall, and then he can teleport away after. He can also Black Penny into things. He can remove the ability for people to tough. He is such a good caster. His biggest issue is going to be making sure he doesn't get caught on fire and fucking die, because he's still an armor 13.
Well, everybody's got a weakness.
When you look at it, and stuff, if you've done that much damage that they're having to pop their focus or fury their focus to get rid of those damage points, that means that they're in a pretty bad place, and that, maybe Kane won't get to them that turn to kill him, but you still have other pieces that could do something, especially if he can't heal back up, and kill you one turn, he'll probably kill you the next one.
Yeah.
I was really surprised looking at the WTC that both Haley 3, Haley 1, and Kara Sloan exactly tied.
Wait, Haley 3, Haley 1, and Kara Sloan tied?
Tie.
Huh.
3-way tie. They're all at 10.1% of the list chosen out of the Signar casters.
Yeah, they're all being taken 7 times.
I think that's interesting.
Super bonkers.
I'm more so surprised with the Haley 3. I I think no. I mean, because like I said, Kara Sloan and Haley 1, I think they kind of do a lot of the same things. Both their feats are relatively comparable. I think Haley's feat beats out Kara Sloan's, but Kara Sloan has the ability to give true sight to her entire to everyone in her battle group, which is very powerful. So, sorry, we took up a shit ton of time for Signar, because we are already 10 minutes into this.
Well, we're gonna breeze through Manoth.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Manoth players. We don't have really any insight.
So, only thing I was super surprised about with Manoth is that Amon had 16.2% of the lists were Amon. He was the third highest taken caster in Manoth. Of course, Sevi 2 was number 1, and the High Reclaimer was number 2, but then Amon, definitely a big change from last year, where Harby was in the top 3.
Yeah, well, Harby gets neutered a lot by a lot of the Grievous Wounds applications that comes out. It kind of hampers her ability for Martyr. And
her feet is also only 10 inches now.
The Amon thing, I think, is just playing on the fact that jacks are a lot more functional to run right now. And Synergy, even though a lot of people complain about the fact that it changed, the base ability of it changed, I still think it's strong, that it's just a flat 2. And to make sure to tie it out, the casters that were not taken in Menoth was Sevi 1, Krios 2, Fiora 1 and 2. None of the Fioras made it.
It's surprising that none of the Fioras did. I thought Fiora 2 at least was still going to be around somewhat.
Not this year.
All right, what's next? Kador? Let's do Kador.
So in Kador, I have to say I was a little bit surprised by this. Last year, Butcher 3 was the number 1 taken caster.
Yep.
This year it's Irisk 2 with Butcher 3 and Vlad 1 tying for second place.
I'm not too terribly surprised about Irosk. You can partially blame Wormwood for that. Butcher 3, I think, might actually just be a carryover. People are comfortable with him. He didn't change too terribly much, so there's a level of I have the muscle memory for this match, so I'm not terribly surprised by that. The numbers don't necessarily. I mean, they seem relatively appropriate for what's Kador. Butcher 2 wasn't taken. Sorsha 2 wasn't taken, which kind of surprised me in a meta where we're expecting to see lots of jacks. And then you've got Zerkova 1 and 2 weren't taken, and Old Witch, which, again, I mean, I think those are scenarios where no one's necessarily surprised to not see those on. It's with the exception of Sorsha 2.
Mm-hmm.
Sorsha 2, I thought would have been a shoo-in with her feet, helping doubling up on damage. Like, you get it, with you running so many jacks and you be able to run them so efficiently, like getting them in there and getting even if it's just one hit and just having just a little bit crossover and then doubling that up, I thought she would have been a shoo-in.
I figured she would have too, because especially with the current meta state where we're looking at, we are seeing a lot more jacks and beasts on table just naturally. That is kind of surprising, because I feel like that would also be a good colossal killer.
Yeah.
So here we go into the redheaded stepchild, the one nobody loves anymore, except for the few, the proud, the cricks. Denny 1. I can't tell. So is it Denny 1 that's the big one, Kevin, that's being taken a lot? Because these colors are a little bit off.
Denny 1 comes in at 10 lists. Severius comes in at 9, and Coven.
No, Scavris.
Scavris comes in at 9, and then Coven and Asphyxius both come in at 8.
So that excites me with the Coven, because I know definitely our guest from last week, Mr. Tianus, he loves the Coven. He's been playing them a lot. So, I mean, it's definitely good to see them getting played a lot more in more of a competitive setting.
That's true. What are we seeing for numbers-wise? How many Crix players do we have in total?
Grand total of 59 players, which is actually, I wouldn't necessarily say it's topping the charts, but it's not falling, flat. I mean, Minions only comes in at 26, Legion only comes in at 45, so there are other factions that are out there that are being taken less than Crix. I think they fell actually in the middle of the field.
That's not horrible. That's not as bad as I thought it was going.
No, I mean, everybody assumed that Crix was going to be the bottom stepchild hugging it out with their stepbrother Scorn, and they're not.
Is Scorn the lowest on the totem pole?
No, I think I think it
Convergence.
still falls under Convergence, Mercs, and Minions being the low men on the total pool. Now, don't get me wrong, Convergence comes in at 20, Mercs comes in at 21, and Minions comes in at 26, and then Scorn is 30, so they're not far off.
That's not bad. Actually, that makes me really happy that there's that many Convergence players. The fact that there's 20 is pretty impressive.
And then
I forget. Do you have to be painted for the WTC?
No. After the 30, it jumps from 30 all the way up to 45, though. So there's a gap between those lower four and then the rest of the group.
All right. So after Cricks, we have Mercs. How many players in Mercs?
26, you said?
21.
That was Minions.
Oh,
Minions
Mercs
was 26.
The Mercs was actually the one faction that had the most casters not in their repertoire. You didn't see, there was no Durgan, there was no Fiona, there was no Magnus. Magnus 2, I believe.
Magnus 2 is around, but not Magnus 1.
Magnus 1. So it's Magnus 1 was missing, and then Ashlyn and Shay.
Yeah, it looks like Magnus 2 and Osram are the two big boys on the totem pole for Mercs, coming in at the same numbers with Gorton pulling up third. So Gorton, I can definitely see because of that.
Oh yeah, Gorton is pulling up third.
Isn't Gorton the one who can move you 8 inches and then knocks down your speed?
Yes.
So he's got strong scenario play.
He's the landslide caster.
Yep. He is definitely a strong scenario caster. So I think
you can pull off assassinations with that too.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't doubt it, but I mean, still, either way, he's a good caster.
Yeah.
All right, and then we've got Retribution. There's Dirty Elves, and we will definitely we'll go to Kevin for his absolute favorite, Ron.
Hey, Ron.
Why he might be at the top of the list.
Yeah, you guys will get to see that there's a battle report coming out where I got to face in a Ron match. That was my first Ron match and unique experience.
He touched you bad. Do we need to pull up a doll and you can show us where he touched you?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. It's just it was a scenario of I heard a lot of people talking about how good Ron was, and after playing that game, I can definitely see where they're pointing that to. Ron not pulling out the top. Ossian is followed. It's Ossian first with Viros, followed by Kalissa. I'm actually there's only 8 Helena, and I almost wonder if that's more of a practice scenario that Helena isn't seen that much, that they didn't get enough practice before they submitted their list in, because I know at Nova Open, the event we just came from, there was a ton of Helena on the field. And then as it relates, the only 2 that didn't make the cut was Gareth and Tyrone, or however you pronounce his name.
Tyrone, I'm surprised about. I'm surprised that he has been around. Granted, I haven't really paid attention to any of his rules, but I feel like he was such a driving force towards the end of Mark II. I'm surprised that enough of him would have been changed that he's just not exciting.
It's probably because of the lack of units. We're not seeing a lot of infantry, and I will guarantee that's probably the reason we're not seeing him.
I could see that.
I do have to say though that I would like to hear a little bit more about why Helena didn't get chosen, because I know at Nova Open, Helena's who won Masters. So
damn.
Yeah, she's a really strong caster. When a lot of people look at the feat, the capabilities of it, the damage output that she's capable of doing, she's a solid caster. And I think the reason, if I were to be a guessing or a betting man, I think the reason why she didn't show up that much in WTC is just a level of familiarity and amount of time spent to play her in comparison to the other ones. Don't get me wrong. Ossian, Virus 2, and Kalissa are still super strong in this meta. I was just kind of surprised that it went from 12 at Kalissa and then jumped to 8 for Helena. Assyria comes in at 9. She actually comes in higher than Helena, which is a little... it's red strong. I just was really surprised by that one.
All right.
So let's go into the Metal Brethren. and it might be easier to start with who isn't included. Syntherion doesn't get played in a single list. He is left out of the WTC.
So I'm a little surprised by this one because Syntherion brings a lot of stuff that, in Convergence in general, I think Syntherion is really great. He gives them the auto heal. I think it's D3 or 3 health every single turn. He can bring a Jack back after they're destroyed. They just come back with one point in each of their boxes. And also he has synergy. So it's just a little shocking. But I am more shocked by the fact that Aurora has a showing. But Aurora did change a lot. I mean, she has an ability that gives her entire, everyone in her control area, it's a warrior model flight. Like, that's pretty strong.
I definitely agree.
So, I mean, not shocker is the fact that Lucan is 38.9% of the 20 lists. Just because of where Lucan is, he's a great caster to have.
Is there something wrong with me that anytime someone says Father Lucan, I keep going, "Ay, Pape," in the back of my mind?
No, not.
Yes.
But yeah,
I see that Tony finally got up on the thing and got his percentages up.
I did. I finally did. I got around to Googling it.
I was like, how does he know? Is he reading my mind? Nope. He went on and looked it up himself.
Google is a strong force when I decided to use it.
And I would strongly recommend anybody listening to this, if you want to look into these lists, don't base it just on what we say. Take the time to look at them yourself. Because we'll get shit wrong.
So we should go into the next strongest faction, Faction Madrak.
No kidding.
Seriously. So
he is the highest taken caster out of any faction.
Correct.
So in a side note about WTC, which is very interesting, is if you have two people that have the same faction on a team, both of them cannot take the same caster. So I'm wondering if the teams that are taking multiple trolls, how much higher would Madrak 2 be if all of them were able to take Madrak 2?
Probably.
I would like to see team composition. I want to know if there is more, like, do we have the team, like, setups? Is there a team that has more than one troll caster on it?
So I know there's raw. I know the raw data is available on the WTC website, and Discount Games Inc. is starting to put it up, but they only have the Australia team stuff up yet.
You got to give them time. I mean, that's a lot of lists to process in a short amount of time.
It is. It is a lot of stuff to process.
And I would highly recommend that if you haven't done so already, drop by Discount Games Incorporated and give them a thanks. Go to their Facebook, go to Change Act Facebook or something like that, and give them a thanks. These guys are going out of their way to provide us this information so that we can look back on it later. Also go to the WTC because they were the ones that round up all of this information. I know a lot of people have been going out there been like, man, these charts suck. They got the same colors and the information's not useful and all this stuff. People need to realize somebody is doing this for free. So give them a little credit. All right, so are we taking bets now on if Madrak 2 gets some sort of adjustment to him in the next errata?
You mean right before WTC? No.
Too soon. Too soon. 2015 was just last year, okay?
I think there would be some balancing, but I think this is my thought. If they do decide to balance Madrak 2, I feel and I hope they go the path that they did with Lich 2, where they do slow changes. They don't just rip out her back like Haley and Denegra 2. They do the slow changes just to see.
When you mean they do like Lich 2, you mean in Mark 2 where they did staged incremental nerfings, not Mark 2 to Mark 3 Lich 2 where he got nuked into the ground.
Correct, yes. The Mark 2, the 6-year process of bringing him almost into balance.
Well, with a live
and then shitting on him.
And then shitting on him. Yep.
So you want them to shit on Madrak? You just want them to slowly shit on Madrak?
Come back just go to the showers.
This is what I'm going to say at this point. I will not agree with the Madrak nerf until casters like Haley 2 with Temporal Barrier get their comeuppance, because it is absolute bullshit that somebody else gets a toy that might actually do pretty fucking well, and then everybody's like, oh shit, let's go back and fucking nuke him. You know, like, they already changed the fact that if you drop Madrak 2 into a spellcaster such as Sevi or somebody like that, Madrak 2 is very vulnerable, you know? So there is very much a list and caster type that is anti-Madrak.
So the only argument that I would make is that I think Madrak, and this is coming from a guy who still loves trolls, even though I don't have him. I think Madrak needs to be adjusted, not for the sake of the other factions, for the sake that Madrak 2 was taken 26 times, and the next highest person was only taken 8. That is an internal faction imbalance.
Holy shit.
So I don't think Madrak needs to be errated for the sake of the other factions. I think he needs to be errated for the sake of the faction he's in.
I don't know. I love him so much, and I'm so happy to have a caster that I'm really enjoying in general.
Everybody loves playing in the sprinklers.
That is true. Everybody does love playing in the sprinkler.
By the way,
if I had a sprinkler, I would enjoy playing with this in it as well. Emergence. Axis 2.
I was about to say, you have
Axis 2 2017.
Just so you guys know, last year Madrak 2 was Madrak 2 and Madrak 1 were two of the highest winning percentage casters taken at WTC last year.
And I can see that because Madrak 2 was very good in Mark 2. It was very good. I think the issue is that Madrak 2 in Mark 3 can take out your entire fucking army by himself. And finish with still 13 Fury on him.
It's a scenario of, and I think it might have been Muse on Minis that I heard it, but I actually like the concept. I think it was Chad mentioned it, that what if, and we're getting super off tangent here, but what if Madrak's errata was simply what his feat is now affects everybody but him?
No.
Okay.
I would rather have it affect no one but him.
Yeah, because then you still get to kill the rest of the fucking army.
You still get to play in the sprinklers.
I don't care.
I'd be okay with it.
Sprinklers for days.
I'd be okay with it if the errata actually stated that Devin would not be allowed to play Madrak 2 anymore.
Yes. Everybody else but Devin.
You want to know something? I would give up Madrak 2 for the greater Creel, okay? I would not, if they promised to me that they would leave Madrak 2 as is and not change a single thing, I would promise today that I would not play Madrak 2 in any competitive format at all.
Can we get somebody to Photoshop a Trollkin on a Menoth cross so that martyrdom Mr. Devin over here can have a new avatar?
Oh my god.
Hashtag Madrak for days.
All right.
Sprinkler for days.
Let's move on to the next group. What's next?
Next would be another faction we don't care about. No, I'm kidding. It's Circle. Let's talk about the other elephant in the room. The you know, they said.
So Devin,
they said
how fair balance is Wormwood then? Do you think he's perfectly fine? 100% great?
Here's the thing about Wormwood.
So you have a different opinion about Wormwood.
Here's the thing about Wormwood.
How curious.
Here's the thing about Wormwood. There is no negative to Wormwood, okay? Like, at least you can spell assassinate Madrak to fucking death. But you know what you can't do? You can't get through fucking trees. You can't charge. You can't do anything. Wormwood is like the most, like, at least when you're playing Madrak 2, you know, you just go, man, I'm not going to set my fucking people up to be Pac-Man to end this. But Wormwood doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care where your guys are. He's just like, oh, hey, you ready to get beaten with a very large stick? Because it's coming.
So, man. Wormwood's success, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people here. Wormwood's success is a prime example of what happens when you take the teeth off of the Predator. When you remove seeing through forest from Legion, you make Wormwood a thing. Before then, Wormwood wouldn't hit the table that often because I hear Eyeless Sight Legion is a thing in Mark II. Now all of a sudden you take the teeth out of the Predator, and now the preys run in the yard.
Fucking prisoners run the goddamn prison.
We have deer running rampant in forests now.
All right, do we got anything
where's
else?
the wolves at?
Woot, woot, woot.
How many people are playing Circle at WTC?
1 million.
Yes, there is literally, even though there aren't a million people attending, there's a million people playing Circle. Circle's numbers come in at 83.
Fuck.
Oh, so it's the Wormwood Team Championship.
Which is the highest number of players in a faction.
Really?
But, Wormwood's only taken 34 times.
Jesus Christ.
So everybody's like, oh, well, Wormwood's got a lesser percent than Magic 2. Magic 2's a problem.
Hey.
Yeah, but that's because there's more people playing Circle to drag his number down.
I say, hey, but let's just make sure we're clear on it. Warmachine is overpowered and Hordes is severely underpowered.
Shots fired?
Do you remember the conversation we just had about Kane 2?
Fair and balanced. He is the
right.
Fox News of Warmachine.
Yes.
Let's go to Kara Sloan is the Fox News of Warmachine
She really
because
is.
obviously she's not performing at the top. So let's go to the poor underdogs. Scorn.
So Xerxes 1 has a good amount, but who is Rasheth? So Rasheth is the highest?
And honestly, I've seen a lot of talk about that. Like, a lot of people have been just, like, really complimenting Rasheth. And I think it's because the fact that he has that, where he has the same thing the Hellmouth has, where you can only take X amount of the damage, like Impervious Flesh, I think it is, or...
Oh, where you reduce the range damage dice by 1?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
really
I think
good.
That makes him really strong into the to fight off assassinations. Not to mention he plays beasts really well, so he plays that game strong. I was really surprised to see that Morgul 1 was as high as he was. No, sorry, I lied. That's not Morgul 1. It's Naresh, and I'm even more surprised to see it's Naresh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so it basically comes in, Rasheth's at 8, and Xerxes 1 is at 7. So they're not too terribly far off from each other, and then Rasheth coming in at 5. So, the field is mostly those 3. There's onesie-twosies of everything else.
Hello?
How many? Oh, never mind. He said Rasheth, not Naresh.
Yeah, Rasheth.
Rasheth is 8, Xerxes 1 is 7, Naresh is 5.
Okay. Oh, pretty cool. I'm going to be excited to see how that plays out. Especially, I've definitely between Store Wars, Nova, and a lot of other events, which there was only one Scorn player at Nova this year. Kudos to him. But definitely in Store Wars, I know that I've seen Rasheth a lot, so that's been really interesting because I didn't see him at all last year.
Oh, we saw him all the time, but that's because Pokey loves playing his 7 Titan Rasheth list.
Rhinodons.
Yeah. Fucking, what was it? His
Titan Force 7?
Yeah. I was thinking, his Clash of Rhinodons.
Oh, that's completely different. Clash of Rhinodons is him going, I own 7 Rhinodons. So if anybody's ever wondered why does Pokey have so many Rhinodons, because we have a running gag that every time it's his birthday, we buy him a Rhinodon.
All right. Let's move over to Legion.
You mean the wolf?
The wolf.
The toothless wolf?
Yeah.
So it's a Lilith 3 has 33.3%. That's a lot. It's a lot for a huge base caster.
Well, the problem is not problem. The thing is that with her feat, she opens up assassination potential. So with 45 players, 15 of them are running Lilith 3. She's the highest run caster. None of the other casters come in at double digits. She's the only one in the entire faction.
But the way she plays, I'm not surprised. Like, I'm not even a little bit surprised. Like, honestly, if I had seen any other caster in the top spot for Legion, I would have been surprised. She is so strong. She is, like, her assassination game can hit you from the other side of the table. She basically took her second iteration and just kind of bumped it up a notch.
Yeah, it's not nearly as egregiously as Lilith 2 and Mark 2 was, but she does have the okay, I pop feet, I trample, I assassinate you. Did I win? Yes. Okay, I win. Did I kill you? No. Okay, good game.
That's exactly what Solus did to me. I think that was his exact wording. I pop feet and move up. Are you dead? Yep, I win. And that was the game.
Yep.
Jesus. It's like we don't even pull our models out. I'm just going to walk up and kill you, so good game.
Or not kill you and you win.
Yeah, kind of like how I feel with Magic too. Was you have models on table? Cool. I'm just gonna get to your caster right. Well, let's just ignore all this other rolling of dice. I'll just put my caster right there.
I will say something to jump back to an earlier topic. That Kane 2 is definitely an anti-Madrak caster, because I was watching a game that War Machinist was playing, and he got Madrak 2 to Kane after basically Pac-Manning, and Kane, I think, was sitting at like Def 19, and then and then bounced back, and then Madrak was sitting there, not able to do anything, axe in his hands, and then Kane just opened fire on him the next turn, killed him.
He's just standing there with his axe in his hand going, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, standing out there with his dick in his hand.
Yeah, you're so close, but you're so far away. Here, put somebody in front of me.
All right.
Where's all my friends?
So anything else about Legion? Okay, let's just move to
There's still a faction, and hopefully, hopefully like Crick's Legion figures out how their faction works again, because I think that's their biggest issue. I was not surprised to see Abby 2 also in the...
No,
I agree.
Abby 2 is solid, strong.
Abby 2 is very strong.
All right, so those are all the factions. We're done.
So for Devin and I will talk about minions then.
They're not a faction.
20 people.
20 people. 21
they
people.
Are doing
21 people. More
26.
26, you're right. 26.
26.
So more than mercenaries and more than convergence.
Those other two non-factions.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised to see Rask. He was in the same spot he was last year. He was number one taking caster in minions last year. He's number one taking caster this year. Though surprised to see that that Barnabas but Arcadius has actually taken more than Lord Carver.
I am surprised about that. I'm also surprised that I was surprised that Arcadius is up so high.
I'm super surprised. I'm happy. Especially with that,
I'm happy about it, but I'm surprised.
His major jump in 2015 was because of his tier list.
Mm-hmm. And now
he doesn't have that anymore.
Right.
Well, yes, he does, and he doesn't. There are some elements of his tier list that are present now on his card all the time.
Right. I think.
Now you want to talk about.
I'm still not admitting they're a faction. I'm just letting you know where the facts lie.
But all right, so for all that is really it for the WTC stuff. And we're over time, so let's wrap it up.
I would like to throw. Oh, damn it. That's not even going to be... That will have already happened by the time this comes out, so never mind.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions you have to pose to the group?
Definitely I would like to see people, if they're... if they get a chance to look at the WTC, listings and pairings and stuff, obviously in our time limit we weren't able to go over the exact composition of every list and the pairings. So viewers, if you get a chance to, look at the lists and look at how people are putting them together, share that with us and let us know your thoughts on it, because we would definitely like to delve deeper into how the makeup is, but we would like to have a little bit of direction so that we don't get off track on more talks about Madrak 2.
I'd actually ask like people to post, what caster are you surprised had to appear in a high number at WTC?
All right, so with that being said, thank you guys very much for listening to another episode of Turn Extension. We will see you later.
Good night.
See you guys.